Is it visible, Ashok?
Yes.
Okay. See, in the last sixth sheet, there was some error, Ashok. So I got stuck there. I'll try it from the beginning. Actually, I have tried it the entire thing. It got installed in the sixth page. I got some error. It's showing some error, Ashok. I don't know where exactly, but I'll try it from the beginning, taking the help of Ishwant, Ashok.
No, I'm saying about the WordPress. Have you completed the WordPress at least?
This is the WordPress thing, Ashok. This is what I'm showing. WordPress. This is the WordPress thing, and this pushing it to the repository. I've done it, Ashok.
Okay. Show me the GitHub.
Yeah, this is it. I mean, let me show you. This is my master branch,
Okay.
and I've created the dev branch. This is the dev branch, and I've committed. I've made a pull request and merged it with the master, making some changes in the dev branch, Ashok.
Okay. Show me the code. Go down. Down.
Just a second.
Okay. When you are moving it, have you moved it to the AWS S3?
AWS S3. Yeah, yeah,
Sorry,
yes, sir.
to the S3 bucket. Is the
Yeah,
file
this is.
available in the S3 bucket?
I wrote the
Is
code,
the
Ashok. Sorry,
is
yes.
the file available in the S3 bucket?
Yes, Ashok. He has kept, not deleted,
Okay.
Ashok.
Okay. Show me the S3 bucket.
No, Ashok, it is throwing error. I couldn't copy it to the S3 bucket.
Obviously, it will throw the error, but I know why. But show me, because the one what you have done is the wrong thing. What was the command when the CP was used?
CP was this command.
When you are copying, what was the command? What was the command AWS S3 CP? What was the total line we used to give it?
And below line also it should need to add up, Ashok.
It should be in the same line, Ashok.
Ashwin, have you done it?
Yes, Ashok.
So has it moved your file to S3 bucket?
No, no, Ashok. I got an error throwing an error saying that I think so. I need to define. I'll show you, Ashok. I'll show.
So whoever has the AWS basics PPT.
Ashok, can you see mine, Ashok?
Yeah, I'm able to see yours.
This is the readme file, Ashok.
Okay.
And this is the main branch, and this is the dev branch. But then I moved it.
Yours also will not work.
It is not working, Ashok. Yes, it is not working. Ashok, I think I need to give your S3 is equals to bucket name like that, and I need to define in the first year, Ashok. S3 is equals to bucket name is equals to my name, and I need to define that, Ashok.
Do you have AWS basics PPT with you?
Yes, yes, Ashok.
Open it. Go to the AWS CLI commands. Okay. Stay there. In the top to the commands.
Yes, Ashok.
No, this is not this one. Go down. Yes, here. Just wait. What was the command it was mentioning about the CP?
CP to copy, Ashok.
Okay, if you see the RB command, what exactly has been given there?
Like, forcefully move records.
Tell me
Remove
the
the
commands which. Okay, what was exactly given? Tell me correctly.
AWS S3 CP
Hmm.
and from that tar folder to temp, Ashok.
Okay, after that.
After that, we are moving below line S3 bucket. Ashok.
Hmm. Okay, go on.
S3 bucket / temp folder and moving our timestamp to the dot tar. With that, we are moving, Ashok.
In the question 12, what are the options it has been given? What are the options? Read me the options.
AWS S3 RB -- recursive S3 dot bucket name
Okay.
and
What
AWS S3
in
-4
all the three options, what exactly is the common thing you are seeing?
RB, Ashok.
RB, AWS S3 RB.
Okay,
The
and
bucket
other than that,
S3 bucket name.
okay, why have you given the S3 bucket name there? Why I have given S3 bucket name there?
To specify which bucket it is.
To specify?
Which bucket exactly to remove.
Okay, when you are moving your file from your temp folder to S3 bucket, what should be the command then?
It should be in the same line, Ashok.
What should be the command? You are whatever given AWS S3 CP, the path which you have taken from the temp folder. After that, what should be the one? Open Google. Open Google, Yashwant. Type AWS S3 CP. Now go to the docs Amazon command line reference CP, that below one. No, the second one down. Yeah. Okay, go down. That's a synopsis. You don't have to go down. 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 Go down. Go down. Now wait. Tell me what is the command you're seeing.
Copy the test file to S3 bucket test2.txt.
Okay, what you have given. Compare, copy that line, first line AP AWS S3 CP tst.txt to your file which has been already present to the SH file. Show me the difference. Take it in Notepad and show me the difference. Copy both the lines and show me the difference. Tell me. And copy the SH line which you have done. Now tell me what you see exactly.
Text dot like we have given temp and the name timestamp. So
Oh, that's fine because they have kept the same path, see test.txt on the main folder, so they have given test.txt. You have kept in the temp folder, so you have given the total path. That's fine. So after that, what you have given?
the S3 Ashok, the above one I have mentioned.
Hmm. So what they have given?
Like we need to mention test dot text and
Hmm.
S3
What
bucket.
S3 bucket?
We dot
Ishwant,
text.
Ashok, in
Uh,
the name place of the name, we need to give the name which you have saved. The name, the tar file which we have saved in which name. And in the timestamp, we need to, rather than giving it as timestamp only, we need to mention the time in the format that they have mentioned. I don't know
See,
whether I'm right.
you could have easily simply given S3 colon two black forward slashes and your bucket name. That's it. That's enough for you. Automatically, the file would have been copied to your S3 bucket. S3 and your bucket name. When we have tried these things, when we have seen the AWS CLI commands basics, I have did the video. If you have watched the video also, you would have easily got that one only. Just simply, again, why you are giving $S3? If you are giving just the bucket name, just the bucket name, that's enough. Double colon, double slash, not single.
Okay, okay, got it, Ashok.
This would have moved the file to the S3 bucket.
no Ashok, like I slept around 5, 10 Ashok. So this is what happened.
It's in the same command line, guys.
Yes, Ashok.
It's in the same line only it comes because you're using the S3. It's the same line. That's it. We want the same file. We want the same dollar name HTTP logs dollar timestamp.dot in our S3 bucket. I didn't mention that the name should be changed. Anything. They just asked we have to move the star file to the S3 bucket. That's it. They didn't mention that in the S3 bucket whether we have to keep any different name within a folder they have to create. No, they just mentioned that it should be in the bucket. That's it. This was a simple command.
What I did, I have tried to a few things, Ashok. Correct me, Ashok, if I'm wrong. But initially, in the if I took bucket is equals to the name. Why? Because
Okay.
I previously I gave the timestamp and bucket underscore name.
Okay.
Initially, I mentioned that Ashok. Then later on, bucket underscore name is equals to yes. Then I've given the other things Ashok. I've deleted while pushing that thing. This is the code line I pushed to the
Yeah,
repository.
see, if you have given S3 dot dollar S3, it would have still worked because you have mentioned the dollar value, but you should not given the same S3 value. You should have mentioned the S3 value, the bucket name with a different variable because you are already using the S3. Again, you are using the same S3 to dollar S3. So it doesn't make sense, right?
Yes, Ashok.
So you could have given a different name and you have kept that after the dollar S3 colon two forward slashes dollar the bucket name, whatever you have want to keep the bucket name or dollar that name, or you directly would have kept the dollar bucket name, just bucket name. This would have worked and this would have moved the file to the,
S3 bucket.
yeah, this was the only I think I have asked you to do and push the file to the GitHub. So you have pushed, but the main thing, if the file is not moving to the S3 bucket, you are just pushing the file to the GitHub. That doesn't make sense, right? Because you will not be having the log files, anything in the S3 bucket, right?
Ah, sure.
You do it after some time. Just now, when you are changing the file and when you are doing the file and you are pulling the merge request, and I have given the tag in the GitHub, they have asked to give me a tag. Have you given when you are doing the merge request? Have you given the tag?
Yes, Ashok. Tag name Ashok. version
Yeah,
automation 1.
I
Like
have given it.
no, Ashok, I didn't mention. Still here
Why?
I've done.
Because you are pushing the tag to the main thing, right? To the main master branch or something. You are pulling and merging the request.
Yes,
So it
yes,
should
yes.
have been a tag name, right?
Yes, Ashok. Annotated tags I need. I should have given Ashok.
Okay,
I'll
guys,
mention it
that's
Ashok.
fine.
I'll complete and I'll forward this.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Go through it, and this was one of the topic we have done.
Yes.
Okay, let me share my screen. So, do you guys know what is monolithic and microservices?
No, Ashok.
No, sure.
We have not discussed about the monolithic and microservices at all.
No, Ashok.
No, sure.
Okay. Okay, before starting, then I have to tell you this thing. So, r- before microservices, there used to be a monolithic application. What is exactly a monolithic application? Monolithic application is that every service, suppose now, whatever the service you are doing, everything, like consider that your services, whatever you are, the payment mode, the login mode, the authentication mode, whatever the services we used to have, all and the database, all used to be kept in a single server. Everything, all the services, all the things, everything means whatever application has to be hosted, if the application has to be hosted, whatever has been present, whatever for this means the UI from the backend, the services, the coding, everything used to keep it in a single server. If that server is not available, your total application is gone. Your total application is gone means you whatever you are hosting the application, in the application, if you are having authentication service, if you are having a payment service, if you're having a search service, and along with it, if this authentication has to be gone to a to authenticate, it has to go to the database to see whether these credentials are not right or not. So all these things are used to be kept in a single server. That single server means all keeping in a single point of time is called monolithic, where you are having everything in a single server, which makes the application very slow, and everything whatever has been kept, if the server has been corrupted or the server has been gone, then your application is also doomed. This was the before concept when the microservices came to the picture. This was only the monolithic applications means, if you heard it anywhere, if you see anything about monolithic, that means you are already using everything in a single server. Everything, I'm saying everything means all the things, payment mode, authentication, whatever may be the services you are using in that application, all were kept in a single server along with the database. This was very slow when before, you know that when the applications, when you used to log in before any websites or anything, it would have been very slow, but now it is fast. Why? Now everything is in microservice. What is exactly the microservice? Microservice is that where for each service, like authentication, you are using a different server. For payment mode, you are using a different server. For searching for means connecting to a different thing, you are using a different server. So means everything, whatever you are using for the database, you are using a different server. Means for every other service you are going to use, you are keeping it in a different server, so that if if the authentication is not working on, but still you will be able to do the payment, you'll be able, because the people who are already on the payment mode, who are already on the travel, means like in the Ola, we have taken a concept where in the Ola and Uber there was authentication, they
Yes.
after that there was a login, and after that was the payment mode, and after that there was a booking the cab mode. Means everything was in a different server. Means if one person is not able to log in, but doesn't affect the person who has already booked the cab and the person who has already completed paying the amount, for him there will not be a problem. But for him, the login will be the only thing affected. But the one who is already there, who is already on the journey, will not be having any issues. That is a microservice architecture where every service has been into a different server, so that it doesn't affect the, if one service is gone down. This is called microservice architecture, where it is very fast and very reliable. This is monolithic and microservice differences. So as I said, the disadvantage, it is very large, because once the data gets large and when the DB gets huge, it was difficult to manage. And to redeploy the whole application, means everything in a single server and you have to redeploy to a different one, that would be a hectic change. So this was the very difficult to handle. Monolithic was very difficult to handle. But if it is like a static website and there are no lot of changes, for them the monolithic is a very good option. If it is just a static website where there is not a lot of changes, only the data is present, like Wikipedia, where you don't change anything, it has been years and years and years, so it will be the same thing. So it will be easy to use. For them, the monolithic is a very good option because they don't need to change anything. For years, it will be the same thing. So just you have going there, you are just reading the article and you are coming out of it. That's it. You don't have to change anything. If it is a static website where there are no lot of changes, just only the site it is having. So for them, the monolithic is a very good option. For them, it is just monolithic application because you don't have to use more services. You don't have to waste more of your money. As I said, the microservice, this is the architecture of microservice. See, each microservice means each service, whatever you are going in to have its own database. So it's sitting its own database and it is keen connecting to microservice. This is microservice architecture where each one will be having its own DB and its own service. Any questions?
Ashok, in microservices, there there is no like proper ownership, right, Ashok? Like clear ownership.
Yeah, it will be there definitely. Why not? Obviously, if you are hosting a server, if you are having a server, and in that server, if you are having a service, who will not take the ownership?
No, no.
Obviously,
As you said, service gets more and more. It will be like running in different services, right? The main owner will not be the same for payment separate owner. Like they're like different coins.
the connections will be there, right? Why you're thinking that? See, if you are logged in, like if we take an Uber example, where if you are logged and you are authenticated, now once you are authenticated, the API means whatever you are going to use means that will be gone to the next service, to the next server automatically, because there will be a code line where if this person is authenticated, move him to the next service means move him to the booking of the cab. So you will be, you are with your credentials, with whatever the host you have been using, with that service, with that network, you will be moving to the next booking cab service means your data will be moved to the booking cab service. Now you will be in that session, you will be in that session, when you are booking the cab. Until booking the cab, you will be in that session only, and once the trip is completed, once the session gets completed, the session will move forward from that service to the payment service. Means it will be move your details, means whatever you are doing, it will move to the payment service. Once the payment is completed, now the session will be closed. A session gets open from the starting point of time and it will end once you close the app. That is called a session where you logged in, you are authenticated, and it has been moved to the pay booking a cab. And from booking a cab, once the trip is completed, it goes to the payment mode. And once the payment is completed, it is closing the app, means it is closing the session. This will go through a session. So obviously in the session, you will be having the ownership of everything, whatever you are going to do. We have discussed this in the OSI layers when we have talked about the session, how exactly it works out. Did you got the point?
Yes, Ashok. Yes, Ashok.
Any questions? Any questions, guys? If you don't have any questions, let me. You don't have any questions?
Oh, sure.
Sure. Did you understood what is monolithic and what is microservices?
Yes, Ashok.
Now we will be talking about Docker. What is a Docker? Why we are talking about this Docker? What is need of this Docker? Why? So how exactly this evolution came to the picture? How exactly the Docker journey? So now the monolithic and microservices are there. That's fine. Let me just go through here. So the microservices were there. In that microservices, we got a thing that we got it. We are able to use a microservice. Now after that, we came the virtual machines. The EC2 are virtual machines, where they are able to handle many services. Means suppose if you need, for Python application you need Python, for Java application you need Java, for the front end applications you need front end services. So for each application you are having a different services. Means for every application you are going to install everything in a different server. Suppose if you want to have 5 different, means for scalar application you are using the scalar. Means every service you are using, means for every applications you are having, you are going to create a new instance and you are keeping on it. So when we are having these instances, when we are having different servers and everything is there, why the need of Docker? What is the need of Docker? Because these are we are having virtual machines. We are not anywhere handling the physical servers, because we are just creating a virtual machine. In that, we are just for the Python application, we are installing the Python and we have started working on it. And for Java application, we have created another instance and we have created it. We have installed the Java and we started working on the Java code. If these virtual machines are there, why there is a need of Docker? Why the need of Docker?
Like if Docker has different types of users, like using softwares, Ashok, like Node.js or other set of softwares. For each type, they will be using. For website, they will use other website. For containers, they will use other, and messaging, database, different. This is a platform where it brings all together, Ashok.
Okay, let's see that. Now, as we talked before, if your service, if your application, means you know that at the time of you play the video games, or right, maybe GTC City, GT Vice City. So the game, when we are installing the game in our Windows laptop, or maybe any laptop, at the time of installation you will be seeing a lot of errors, right? Means when you are trying to install it, you will be facing some errors. means it is not allowing you to install, and you will go to the Google and you will search and you will come back. Now at that time when, if you are a developer and if you are getting, means you are able to see that you are able to work it out very easily, means when you are developing the code and you are doing it and you are installing it, it is working on your machine. But for the operational guy who is actually on the infrastructure side, who is actually working on the server side, he is telling us that no, we are not able to see that the installation is going on perfectly. There are a lot of requests that this installation is not going on perfectly. But the developer is saying that no, it is working perfectly on my machine. It is not working on it. Now, here he came to know that the requirements, the dependencies for that application was Java 1.1.8. It is available in the developer machine, but that requirement, that dependency is not presented in the server side. Now, whose mistake is this? The developer is saying he needed Java 1.8 dependency, and he installed it, and the application is working for fine. Means the application is the .exe file which he ran. It is working perfectly fine on his machine. But on the server side, the Java customization which they needed 1.8 was not there. So it is not working on that server side. So the operational guy is telling it is not working, but the developer guy is saying it's working perfectly fine. Now, whose mistake is this?
They need to install Java operation guy in the server.
The Java is there, but it is not the 1.8, means the exact version which they needed, it was not there.
Okay.
So
Operation guy
this
needs
is
to
the,
install it.
this is the place where we need to consider who knows the coding along with the infrastructure. This is the place where we exactly say the DevOps people come into the picture, where they will be able to handle the code along with the operational, means what kind of system we needed, what kind of a customization should it be kept, what kind of a version it should work out. So this is the place where the DevOps come into the picture, who knows both the development plus operations. As I said many times, is it is a principle where collaborates between the development team plus operations team. Who knows both of them is called DevOps. Any questions you have up to now?
Got your point.
Now let's take application. So in the application, means in our organization, means they have an organization, a company. They are having a static website. The static website means the markets. Means when you are visiting their page, means the marketing people which they have kept, they don't change lot much into that static websites. Means there will be only the market page where you will be able to see what exactly they have achieved, what exactly they provide the services, what exactly they give. So that will be on the static website. And the front end, what exactly in the front end application means, once you are into the market, after that when you go to the different services, means let me give an example. Like a great learning means consider the different kind of courses which has been provided by the great learning, maybe the scalar. So if you go to the scalar or maybe anything, maybe the upgrade, so these are all the educational websites where if you see their website, first for the marketing will be a different static website. For the web front end means they will be having a different, because they will be for teaching, for learning will be a different website. For online classes there will be a different website, and for the careers there will be a different website. And for what is the other thing, careers, learn, and teaching live, and the profile building will be in a different website. So these are all web front end applications. And the background workers means whatever the services for these applications is running, it will be in the background, it will be using it. And the user database means whoever the user is logging in, it has to authenticate for each of the service, means for the learn, for the live and for the careers, it will be separate. And analytics means how many users are using it, how many db means how much flow is coming onto that, and the queuing of the part. Now this many websites means this many services you are having, and it has been means for development means onto your first the developer who is developing his own laptop. After that the qa server means the prod and the non-production servers means where first the if he is developing a code, first the developer will do it on his virtual machine, and after that it will be moved to the non-production servers, and after that it will be moved to the production servers, and after that if it is in the cluster means in the load balancing works out, they will be moving to the clusters, and after that if it is still working out, they have to move to the public cloud, to the cloud, and after that they have to use to the users, to the users laptop, and after that they have to provide to the servers so that the user will be able to use it. So these many things which is has been means if you make one mistake in between anywhere will you be able to handle that? Means suppose for the web front end, for this python application, here you will need python 3. It is a development machine, but in the single prod the development the python 3 is not available. And in the QA, if you are using the Java application, for the Java they are using 1.8, but for that version you are having the Java, but it is not upgraded to 1.8. So these many changes, these many things, the dependencies, the libraries which needed for each single thing for the developer machine, he has actually for these things to work it out, he actually installed on his machine. But what about the QA? What about the production server? What about all the things you are having? Is it practically possible for you to handle all these things in a single go? Practically, is it possible to keep everything up to date for all the services, for all the servers, and all the customizations and all the libraries and dependencies to work it out for that OS? Is it possible? This is a hectic task. This is called the matrix from hell, to keep everything in a application, in an organization. If you are working for a company, if they are in a tech ed or maybe a tech companies, they may have a hell lot of work because they have to keep their market website good. They have to keep their web front ends means the learn, the live, the career websites, and the background means whatever has been running for each thing, for the node.js, the python, java, whatever the application they are working on it, the application's backend code has been the background, and along with the user database, and after the analytics database means how exactly they are working it, how exactly they are going through the market, and the queuing, how exactly the data is coming and the data is going out. These many things, is it practically possible for them to do it? Means everything means if they needed python here and the python is not present here in the production server, then it will be a biggest problem because they will not be able to see nothing in the production server. Means the user who is actually using, he will not be able to see that. And if they are having the node here, it is the node is not present here. So this possible to handle this much thing? Is it possible?
No.
So then came the picture of Docker. What exactly the Docker is? Docker container. I'm saying Docker container is a standardized and smallest unit. Listen carefully. Is Docker container is a standardized and smallest unit that contains each and everything that a software application needs to run. That is software code, system libraries, and its dependencies. Means the box which you are seeing here, which you are seeing, it is a Docker container where everything, whatever you needed for this application to run, the Python, Java, Node, Scalar, everything, whatever you need, it is present in this Docker container. This will be taking care, whatever needs to be present, whatever needs to be run, this will be taking care. So this makes our life easy. This makes the eliminates the hell from the matrix, where it will be all the things, whatever you need to run the application, the code, the dependencies, the libraries, everything will be present in this Docker container. The Docker container is a standardized and smallest unit that contains each and everything that a software application needs to run. That is software code, system libraries, and system dependencies. This is called Docker container. Now, for the Docker container to run and to use, we are using the Docker. The Docker is the one which runs the Docker container, the system which we actually want to run. If you want to create these Docker containers, we need the Docker. We need the Docker to be present in our system so that it will take care of anything. Any questions on this? Have you understood about the Docker container?
Yes, Ashok.
Yes, Ashok.
Okay, now let's do one thing. Okay, now let's do something differently. So what we do is that now do you guys remember? Suppose you want to make a dish. Now let's do one thing. We will talk differently. You want to make a dish. You want to make a dish, and you don't know how to make it. So how you guys are gonna make the dish? And now you want to make a dish, you want to eat that dish, but you don't know how to make that dish. So how you guys are going to make that dish?
Firstly, we'll Google the things like which are the ingredients needs to be taken care of. That
Yes. So means if you want to make a dish, so if you don't know how to make it, but if you want to make it, you will go to the Google or maybe on the YouTube to search that dish and you will start making on it. Before Google and YouTube, we used to have a recipe books, right? We used to
Yes,
have
Ashok.
recipe books where everyone used to follow perfect recipe, means everyone used to follow the recipe book correctly. Means if in the recipe, if there are 10 steps, you will be following the 10 steps in a sequential way, that if the recipe has to be made, we have to follow these 10 steps perfectly. Now suppose if you miss the step 5, and if you say that you have directly want to go to step 6, will the dish will look good, or will the
no,
dish able to good? Or if you want to do step 5 before and after that step 4, will it still work out?
Definitely not.
So the recipe book is the one where you have to follow the recipe in a sequential way, where everything is in a sequential way, so
Not
that the recipe which you wanted to eat will be perfectly fine. Now let's bake a cake. We will baking a cake today. So first, to bake a cake, what we exactly need? The cake would be made from the atta or maida. So we will be making from atta or maybe maida. From atta and maida. After adding the atta, what needs to be done? We need to add sugar. After adding the sugar, what it needs butter. We need to add butter. And after adding the butter, we have to mix it. We have to run the mixer so that it mixes well. And after mixing everything, we have to run it in the oven. We have to keep it in the oven. After after keeping it in the oven, we have to, once a cake is ready, you have to keep the tag, right? Is it a happy birthday or the best wishes, whatever. So we have to use expose. We have to expose the tag. Now after exposing, we have to present the cake to the delivery boy or maybe to the person who exactly needed. So now you will be able to understand why we have to talk about Docker, but why he's talking about the making a cake. Now let us understood means, if 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 you want to make a cake, what exactly you needed the ingredients? You needed atta maida, and after that you want to have sugar. After that you will be adding the butter, and after that you will be mixing it in a mixer, and after that you will keeping it in a bowl and you will be keeping it in the oven. Once the cake is ready, on top of it you will be keeping the tag, whether it's a happy birthday or maybe the best wishes, maybe a farewell. Once it has been, you are presenting the cake. Suppose if you don't have sugar when you are making the ingredient, so how you are gonna make it? Means you have started making the cake and you don't have sugar. How you are gonna take it? There is only one option: buy or steal or take it from outside, take it from others. Buy, yeah, steal, or maybe borrow it from the others. Buy, borrow, or steal. Means if you are not having the sugars, means it's logical sense, right? If you are all having the ingredients on with you, you will be able to make it. If you don't have sugar, you will go out or maybe buy it from the market, or maybe you can borrow it from the neighbor, or it is also not option, you will steal from some other thing. You will steal from somewhere. So buy, borrow, or steal. So if these are not too present, and if you start making the cake, will it work out? No, it will not. In the same way, this is a recipe book. This is the recipe. If you want to make a cake, you have to follow these steps perfectly. If one thing misses, the other thing will not work out. If you have to make in a sequential way, you have to make this, you will be able to work this out. Now the same way, now the same way, when we have to run the Docker, we have to run the installations. If you want to have how exactly the Docker works out. In the meanwhile, let's create EC2 instance and see how exactly we're gonna do it. You can use T2 micro only. Meanwhile, I'm creating EC2 instance. If you guys want to follow, you can do it, or maybe you can watch the recording later and you can do that. What is the security setting? Social listening, maybe. Guessed it. Now I have taken a Ubuntu instance. Now, what exactly the recipe book was telling to us? It was taking to bake a cake. If you want to have a maida, you want to have a atta, and if you want to make it, after that you have to follow the steps. Now let's, in the same way, we will be working it out how to run actually the file from the Docker. Now, if you are first to make the cake, what exactly you needed? You needed atta. So like the same way, if you are working on which EC2 machine, for that you need the base. So what is the base? We are taking Ubuntu here. So it will be Ubuntu. The base which we have taken, which we have been working, which EC2, if you are taking Windows, it will be from Windows. If it is an Amazon machine, it will be AMI. It will be Red Hat, it will be from Red Hat. But we are taking Ubuntu, so it will be from Ubuntu. The base, which has to be the first thing which starts, it will be from Ubuntu. After that, I want to add a index file. I want to run an index file in the path where www.html, and where is the file. Here exactly I'm keeping it. I am keeping it in the place of variable, the index file which has been on my EC2 machine. I am just keeping it in the where www.html index. I am keeping it there. And after that, once I have done, I have to run the mixture. So I am running run apt get update, because I have to update the instances whether it's working or not perfectly. Once it is done, again I need to first, if anything, if the index files has to be run, it needs to run on a web server. The web server will always, you can use Apache 2 or you can use Nginx. This is also a web server in Nginx. And after that, once this has been running, I have to expose. What is the expose? I have to expose in which exactly this has to work. I'll be exposing in the port 80. Port 80, where exactly the web servers, all the web servers run on port 80. So I'm running this. So this is the same way. If I have to do it, I have to follow these steps. If the Ubuntu has been done, means if I have to run a Docker file, if I have to create a Docker container, I have to first make sure that this file has to be present, that have to work it out. Now let's start working on the Docker. For that, first we need to install Docker on our EC2 machine. So install Docker. Guys, you have multiple documents to go through the Docker, but I will prefer to go here. This one, how to install and use a DigitalOcean. I will just ping it in the chat so that you guys can use this instance, because there's only 5 steps to install the Docker. So how exactly we can install the Docker? Let's see. Just a minute. So what exactly we need to start? So first, sudo apt update. Just let's do that. Now it has been run. Now next sudo apt install.
Here we are not going for Docker's theme, Ashok, like creating an account in Docker.
Sorry.
Here, like past we did for the GitHub, we created a account in GitHub. Later on, then we pushed from the instances to the Git
That
repository.
is Docker Hub. That will come later, not now.
Okay.
Now, once you have done this sudo apt repository, adding the repository, we will be going directly to the sudo apt install docker c.
Ashok, like just like Git, Docker is also a tool for containerization. Ashok.
See, Docker is a container. Docker is a container. Docker containers are the ones, whatever you needed in application to run, whatever you needed. If you want to have Python, you can mention from the application, add Python. From Node, if you are using a Node.js from Node, from Java, you can use whatever you want. You can keep everything in that container so that if you want to run an application, it will work out. The Git is totally different. Don't compare the Git with Docker. Git is actually a version control system. This is containerization, where you are keeping everything in the container to make a smallest unit of your application so that it will be easy to run at anywhere. If you have the same Docker thing on your production, you just need to keep the same details in it, so it will take care of it. You don't have to worry what will be the customizations, what needs to be done. No, you don't have to. This is totally containerization. Git
Just a
is a
second.
version control system.
I'm not comparing, Ashok, but you said we have Docker Hub, so I asked like
See,
that.
Docker Hub is the one where if you want to have that, I will talk about it. The Docker Hub is the one where the files which we are creating right now, if you don't want to create and if you want to directly take it from the Google, from the internet, from the hub, means from the repository where already, suppose if you are running a Java application, there will already be in a Docker file where they have already created a file application on Java. So you can use that Java and you can make modifications according to your thing and you can run it on your EC2 instance. So that way the Docker runs out because these are all the templates. Those are all the templates which has been present to you. Like in the GitHub, if you want to create application, there is already the code is present for some other application. You will be using that same code, you will be forking it, and you will be changing the code according to your usage, customization, and you can start using it. The same way, the Docker Hub also has the templates which has been present, where if you want to use them, you can use it and change according to your customization.
Got it, Ashok.
Now, to check whether you are having Docker containers in your system or not, whether how many Docker containers are running in your machine, on your EC2 machine, the first command will be docker ps. To check the containers in the EC2 machine, the command is docker ps. We are not running any Docker containers. We have just created EC2 instance and we have just installed the Docker. How will be the Docker containers are there? It will not be there, but still, if you want to see, if you log in any EC2 machine or anything, and if you want to see whether the Docker containers are present or not, it's the only thing, docker ps. It will tell you, oh, the permission got error. Why the permission denied error is it's throwing?
Because we have
We have to use sudo because there's a Docker containers, they are also to the root. So we have to check. No, see. Yes, we have installed the Docker just now. So how the containers will be present? So it is not present. So every time, if you want to run the Docker, means we want to see every time what are exactly the commands to run. Using the sudo will be a hectic problem every time we have to run it. For this reason, if you go down in the optional, there is a command sudo user mode add, means this will be adding your Ubuntu user to the Docker group so that you don't have to use sudo every time. Once you add it, enter, you have to duplicate the session, or maybe you have to log in again, so that it, because you are changing the properties of the user. So if you do that, if you see, if you still run it here also Docker ps, it will still not run because it will still throw the error. Wait a minute, guys.
bro.
ಬ್ರೋ
ಗಿಟಬ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಆಡ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ?
ಅದು
5 ಗಂಟೆ ಎದ್ದಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ,
ಅದು ಮರ್ತೇ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೇನೆ ಬ್ರೋ, ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಮಲ್ಕೊಂಬಿಟ್ಟೆ.
ನೀವ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೆ ಕಾಮಿಡಿ. ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಆಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹೌದು ಆಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟೆ, ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ, ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ 5 ಗಂಟೆವರೆಗೂ ಮಲಗಿಲ್ಲ.
ಊರು ನಿಜ 5 ಗಂಟೆ ಆ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಆಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡ್ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೀನಿ. ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಎದ್ದು ನೋಡ್ತಿದೀನಿ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲಿ.
ನೀವ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ ನನ್ಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತು. ನೀವು ಅಶೋಕ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು ಇರ್ರಿಲೆವೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು ಬ್ರೋ ತುಂಬಾ. ಅವ್ರಂತೂ ಕೇರೆ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ. ಕಾಮಿಡಿ ಅದು, ನನ್ ನಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ.
ಅದು 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 S3 ಬಕೆಟ್ ಲಾಂಚ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಬ್ರೋ, ಅದು
ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತು,
ಸೇವ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ.
ನಾವ್ ಅದೇ
ಅದೇನೋ
ನೋಡಿ
ಶೋ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ನಾನ್ 2 ಅವರ್ 3 o'clock ಇಂದ 4:30 ಆಯ್ತು, 5 ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ, ಇನ್ನೂ ಮುಗ್ದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ಬಿಟ್ಟೆ. ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು D1 ಡೇವ್ಗ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ತಿರ್ಗಾ ಟ್ಯಾಗ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ ಅಂತ ನೋಡ್ರಿ, ಟ್ಯಾಗ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಪಾಸ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಎಂಟರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಲ್ಲ.
ಹೌದೌದು. ನಾನು
ಅದು
ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ
ಆಗೋಯ್ತು ಕತೆ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಟ್ಯಾಗ್ ನೋಡಿಲ್ಲ ನಾನು.
ನಿನ್ನೆ ಬ್ರಾಂಚ್ ಪುಷ್ ಮಾಡದ್ನಲ್ವಾ, ಡೇವ್ ಬ್ರಾಂಚ್ಗೆ.
ಹೌದೌದು, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಏನು ಗಿಟ್ ಟ್ಯಾಗ್ ನೇಮು -c ಟ್ಯಾಗ್ ನೇಮ್ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು.
ಹೌದು, ಅದ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ನಾನು ಮರ್ತ್ಬಿಟ್ಟೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಮಾಡೋದು. ನಾನು ಹೆಂಗೋ ಇದು ಪುಷ್ ಆಯ್ತಲ್ವಾ ಬಿಡು ಅನ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಮಲ್ಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟೆ ನಾನು ಕೂಡ. ಅದು ನಾನ್ ತಿರ್ಗಾ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂದ ಹೊಸ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ರಿಮೋಟ್ ರೆಪಾಸಿಟರಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಪುಷ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಬ್ರೋ ನಾವ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗೇ ಇತ್ತು ಬ್ರೋ. ನಾವು ಬ್ರಾಂಚ್ ಪುಷ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಲ್ವಾ, ಅದು ಆಟೋಮೆಟಿಕ್ ಆಗಿ ರಿಮೋಟ್ ರೆಪಾಸಿಟರಿ ಪುಷ್ ಆಗಿರತ್ತೆ.
ರಿಮೋಟ್
ಹಾ
ಬ್ರೋ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಡೌಟ್ ಏನ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾ, ಕೇಳ್ಬೇಕು ಬ್ರೋ. ಅನ್ಟ್ರ್ಯಾಕ್ಡ್ ಫೈಲ್ಸ್ .bin .bash ಅವೆಲ್ಲ ಇತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ ಬಂತ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ?
ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ.
ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ ಕಮಿಟ್ ಇದು ಆಡ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ .bin ./bash ಅವೆಲ್ಲ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಒಂದು 5-10 ಫೈಲ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅನ್ಟ್ರ್ಯಾಕ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. ನಾನು ಫೋಟೋ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಅದನ್ನ ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ ಕೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ಡೌಟ್.
It's 5 minutes. I just got a call. It's a little important. Yes, sorry. I'm really sorry. It was an important call. Where were we exactly?
The taking of that sudo command, Ashok.
Okay, this was not running, right? Yeah. So now if you see the same thing when we have logged in into a different user, see, once you add that Ubuntu user to the Docker group, then it will start working the Docker PS. Now we don't have any containers because we have not created any container. First, to create a container, we need a Docker file. So we will be creating a Docker file. So what is this? Vim Docker file. Now we will be taking it. Now we know what exactly the command is to be run. Here, whatever has been present, we will be taking that. Just okay, let me write it. So what was the one first thing? We need to see the base. As I said, it will be what exactly you are using. If it is Ubuntu, we will be using Ubuntu. After that, we will be adding index, means we want to see the file, what exactly customization. The index is on your host machine. We are moving it to the Docker container variable www html index. After that, we are updating the packages apt-get update. After that, we are installing the Nginx. And after that, we are exposing the port where exactly this application has to run. This is the Docker file. To run the Docker file, first, to run the Docker file in the first place, to run it, we have to first build the Docker. We have to build a Docker. I will be writing the commands once it has been done. So it will be Docker build, and if you present dot, whatever the Docker files present in that pwd working in that present working directory, it will be taking all the files. If you want, you can directly write Docker build like this, or maybe if you directly want to just run only particular Docker file, we will be using build Docker build Docker file. Or if you want to run all the files present in that directory, all the Docker files, we have to use Docker build dot. So if we run it, it will start running the images. It will start running the Docker file. See, it started. Uh-oh, it got error. Why? Why the error is coming? Read the line and tell me. Anyone can read the line and tell me.
File does not exist.
Yes, what does not exist? See, here if you click ls, do we have the index file on our index host machine? No,
No.
right? So we have to create an index. Vim index insert. This is all about Docker. Now if we run it, it will work. See, the second line got it. It has taken the one, and after that it is updating it, and after that it is taking it. Uh-oh, why? Now tell me why exactly this line came. And yesterday we have talked about this one.
We have not installed the Nginx server.
Why it is
No,
showing?
Ashok. Minus y we need to give over there, Ashok, in the.
That's right, because we are not manually doing it. So we have to mention the Docker file run apt install nginx minus y, so that it automatically takes the installation. So again, I'm going to run the Docker build. Now the Docker build has been run. Now let's see whether the container has been created or not. Docker ps. No, still the container has not been done. Here, once you build the Docker file will give you an image to check whether the image has been not created or not. It will be Docker images. If you see here, 24 seconds ago. So we have created a Docker file. From the Docker file, we have got an image. If you run this image, then the Docker container will be created. To run it, the command will be docker run -it image id, and we want to go inside this container, means inside the container which we are creating in this image. If you click on this, it will be creating. See, we have gone inside the container. Now to check whether the nginx has been running or not, service nginx status. See, the nginx is not running. We have to start the nginx. Now if you duplicate this tab, now if you click on the Docker ps, now if you see here Docker ps, the container is running. It has been running. It is working it out. It is taking the command. It is how exactly, which port it is taking it out.
80.
Port 80. So the port is 80 is in there. Now here this command, this one, what we have exactly done. So what exactly we have done? It is, first we have created a Docker file. After this, we have taken, and after with the Docker file, we have run a command. It is docker build. To work for all the files, we will be using docker build star, which it created a Docker image. To check the Docker image, what is this Docker image is a runnable artifact where this will be used to run which can be run to create a Docker containers. Which is actually the thing. We have created a Docker file. After that, we run a Docker build. After that, we got an image. Which are using a Docker images. We are which the image is a runnable artifact. So Docker images, once we have run with the command, what is the command? Docker run -it image id bash. With this, we are able to run the Docker image. Now, with this image, the Docker container has been created. What is the container? Here is the container is running. Now, if you are running on the port 80, if you are running on the port 80, it is running on the Nginx. It is running on the Nginx, but it is not running on the EC2 machine. So we have to run it on our EC2 machine. So what we are gonna do, Docker run -it. Here we get an option -p. -p is the port mapping. We are mapping the port of the EC2 instance to the Docker container port. P1 is the port of the EC2 machine. P1, remember this guys, these questions will come whenever you do the interview or something. They will obviously ask what is exactly the P1 and P2. P1 is the port of the EC2 machine where the port has to be mapped with the port which you have exposed in the Docker container, which is already running. That is 80, because we have given port 80 in the EC2 machine. If we want to run on our EC2 machine, this has to be the port which we have to keep. So the HTTP server always run port 80, so it is port 80. We are giving the same port. If you want, you can keep a different port also. It's up to you. And after that, the image ID. Oh, where is the image ID? No, if you want, if you can just exit it here, the Docker will be, if you see here, if you Docker ps, now the container would have been stopped. Now, if you want to run it, then if you take the image and we have to run it. Image.
Here.
Docker run -it -p port P1. You can keep anything on you, but we know that the web servers always run on the port 80, so we are keeping it. And in the Docker container, we have exposed the port 80, so we have to keep the same port. And the image ID, this is the image ID, and bash. It will be working. Now we have to see whether the service Nginx status first, whether it is running or not. It is not running. We have to start service Nginx start. Now, if I click on the web address, of this EC2 machine, I will be able to see the line which I have written in the index file. Tell me guys whether I will be able to see the. I will not be able to see, right?
Yes, Ashok.
Why? Why? Because I have not given the port, because I have not added the rule in my security group, because I have not presented the HTTP rule at all. It is not there at all. That's the
TCP.
reason it was not working it out.
HTTP.
Because it was have not given the port 80 to run at all. Now if I go and click on that one, it will work out. See, welcome to Nginx. Because I have used the index.html, because I have opened the port. This is the Docker file. This is the Docker file. How exactly? Now if you click on the Docker ps, Docker is running. See, the port has been mapped. Port 0A080 to the 80 TCP. This is a container ID. This is the image we have taken, the command which I used bash, the created when, what is the status of it, when is the country is up or not, the port mapping, the name. This one will be auto generated. If you want, you can give the name that we will be discussing tomorrow and everything. But do you have guys any questions? You know how to create a Docker file. It's a simple Docker file. Just what I have done from the base image, adding the files which I want to add, after that running the update of the packages and installing the Nginx and exposing the port. This is present in a Docker file. I'm just running the Docker build. Along with it, I am running the image first. The build has been done. The image has been created to check Docker images and taking the image ID and running Docker run minus IT image ID and bash. So then the Docker container has been created. Now this is present. Any doubts you have?
No, sure.
Are you guys able to understand what exactly the Docker, how exactly we will be installing it, how exactly we will be working on it?
Can't we run it on SSH port, Ashok?
SSH port, how you are going to run it on SSH port? First,
Like,
to log in for you only, you will going to use the same SSH, right? To log into the virtual machine, you are going to use SSH to that machine. From your laptop, how you are actually logging into this EC2 instance.
okay, through a security, like we have given it, we'll be giving it as SSH only.
Yeah, because to log in into the first to this instance, you are giving on this top of the instance you are using Docker. So obviously, first if you don't have access to this one, how will you be able to access into the Docker? First, you are SSHing into this machine, and after this, you are creating the Docker and everything.
Yes, Ashok, got it, got it.
See, guys, the Docker is a very easy, and it by Thursday or Friday, you will be very good at Docker. If you just practice whatever I was teaching, and you can easily be able to do it. And these things I will explain it after some time because I just want to mention how exactly it helps you. So this is a Docker. So I will ask you to go first, install the Docker on your machines using the here this one. Go through it, install the machine, install the Docker on your machine, and try to run this file, this one, Docker file. What should be the ones? The Docker file should be always the D should be capital when you are writing a Docker file. Vim Docker file, and this is the one. So try it from your side and send me a screenshot. Once you have installed the Docker, once you are done everything, to check the Docker version also you can see. I think it will be Docker version, I think. Here it comes like this. See here, if you see PS, here it will be giving everything what exactly. The PS list containers, PS list containers, build an image from Docker file. The run a command in a new container. Docker run. We will be talking about the tag and the pull push. We will talking about that later part. So this is the Docker, how exactly you are going to see, how exactly we are going to see Docker minus version. Here it is to print the version. Here to see whether the Docker has been present on your machine or not. Docker minus V. Any questions, guys?
No,
I think
sure.
as like we need to, once we practice the thing, we'll get to know.
Yeah, sure, you can do that. So you will be able to see, once you expose the port, you will be able to see welcome to Nginx. And if you click on port 80 only, sorry. So this is the thing. So go through it. So tomorrow we'll be discussing about how exactly Docker works out, the port mapping, how to run it as a daemon process, the orchestration of the Docker, the architecture of Docker, how exactly it works out, and everything.
Yes, sir.
And